Welcome to Listen Up. I'm Lorna Duick. Today, we take you to a story we created to say it's time for this TV program to give to those who need help. We have files of facts here, but the file that troubles us most is the one on the global slave trade. More people live in bonded slavery today than when the slave trade was abolished in the 1800s. We're not talking about bad jobs, low income, but rather a complete loss of freedom. Over 21 million people around the globe are trapped in modern-day slavery. Today, we'll introduce you to children who are at risk of facing that future, and this is our program to make a difference in their lives. And on the back of my motorized rickshaw, a chilling reminder: children can be sold for sex here. Cambodia is just one of 57 countries in the world where child sex tourism is at work. It's a destination country for that crime. Today we will take you to a community of children who are at the greatest risk of being sold. Sold into the sex trade by their own parents. Sold as objects to make money for the family. Our journey begins by following children at risk into their weekly visit to a haven of safety. Their voices are a sweet prayer, their goodness a contrast to the threat of evil around them. Will this church stop these children from being sold? That's part of the prayer of this pastor and those who work with these children. Today we'll investigate their hopes and those who respond to them. Here's how it's happening. There's many who work here to stop sex trafficking, and we'll travel with Kim Bui for a closer look.
It's become a norm to sell their children, even they're only 6 years old, and for some of them very young, only 6, and most of them like under 12 years old, all of them under 12. So that's a normal thing for the Vietnamese parent to sell their children. That's the main thing.
Kim has known plenty of danger in her life. As a child, she hid in the U.S. Embassy in Saigon and escaped the Vietnam War on the last American flight leaving the country. Realizing a child she had taught had been sold into the sex trade launched Kim into a career change, from comfort to managing over 450 children who are part of the New Hope School Project. Like her, they too have fled Vietnam with their parents.
We try to give the girl education and give her a vocational training, a trade, so she won't, at least she can ask the parent not to sell her, like for her to bring the money home in a couple of years when she finishes school.
Now Kim finds herself part of the missionary movement to help them. Their beauty, their composure are as compelling as their dreams. Like the tidy uniforms New Hope School provides, they project an image of the special status we expect children to have.
My name is Yang. I'm 15 years old, and I like to study furthermore, to learn all the language like Chinese, Vietnamese, English, and I want to be well educated.
But this week, one of the girls that should be among her school chums is missing.
She's not going to church today because usually they come to church. But usually when they need the time selling, they pull the girl out from the church. I'm going to lose one girl because the father lost money in cockfighting. And so the girl told me that she's going to be sold by her father, because her father lost much money in gambling.
It's hard to tell what these children think of the risk they live in, but one thing is sure: they are friends with God. This is their tiny church. Not one parent is present. Each child heads to church alone. They know they are loved by God.
I think they believe in God will rescue them. Even during that time, they would cry out to God because He's the one, they put the trust in Him. And probably He asked, they would ask, why God?
Listen Up is back looking at our action plan for how we can make a difference against modern-day slavery. I'm shocked where today's slaves are trapped. We're continuing our look at one dimension of that crisis, children for sale. We take you back to Cambodia, where pastors are determined to stop the crisis, even if it means posing to be a pedophile. We warn you that this broadcast is not suitable for young children. This is footage of brothel busting, taken by the Christian agency International Justice Mission.
It's an evil you can't imagine to go in a place like that.
Reverend Don Brewster was approached by IJM and a Cambodian pastor to help in the sting operation.
This pastor needed Westerners because the place was so big and he wasn't getting any respect, so he said he was a guide for Westerners. And then
you posed as a pedophile.
Yeah, and we went in, and it is so ugly. I mean, I haven't processed it fully. It's hard for me to talk about it, what you see going on, but it is such an organized crime.
The price for a girl, $5 an hour for petting, $100 for sex. Don estimated the huge volume of traffic he saw had brought in $60,000 for the brothel owner in just one day.
Imagine you walk into a room and this man tells you can do whatever you want to the girls, and then he parades over 100 girls in front of you, young girls. We would estimate that 80% were under 16 years of age. So here's this little girl who is thinking, I think they have conflicting thoughts. I think they're thinking, oh my God, please don't pick me. I don't want to be raped again. And I think there's part of them that says, oh my God, if he doesn't pick me, who am I and how can I get money for my family?
So this former Californian pastor has been drawn into their plight. He runs Agape Restoration Center. 52 rescued girls are kept here in this highly guarded, peaceful location which we cannot tour you through.
We actually have pastors who have now been aware of what's going on and have been given some training about what to do, that are actually working as undercover pastors that go into brothels and karaoke bars and provide the information to NGOs and the police. And in the last 6 months, they've rescued 10 girls.
Don works closely with Cambodian pastors and IJM on the referrals to safety.
I believe that the key to this problem is the church. The church here in Cambodia, and actually the church outside of the country, but the church within the country of Cambodia has the ability to change this.
Back at New Hope's little school-based church, this pastor agrees.
I have children, and I know that they are the gift from God. We will do everything in our power to protect them, and we want to teach them about God so that they can follow us to serve God.
And by the end of the church service, Doon and Min had worked with missionary Kim to evacuate 3 children in danger. With their legal paperwork done, I rode along as Kim drove them into the network of care available to workers in Phnom Penh like Ruth Elliott. Ruth, do people sell their children because of the poverty?
With all the families that I've ever worked with here in nearly 5 years of working in Cambodia, what I see is that the families that sell their children are greedy. They want the money, but they don't work. The parents refuse to work in most of these cases. They don't want to work, and they have gambling habits, so that the child's earnings will be supporting the family's gambling habits, and alcoholism. It's very, very prevalent. So the kinds of families that sell the children, among all the families I've ever worked with, are greedy. They want a TV, they want some jewelry, they have gambling habits to support, and they have alcoholism, and the parents don't want to work. They feel it's their right to live off the children.
Ruth is a Cambridge University-trained psychologist who couldn't get her teenage idealism out of her mind, a hope that one day she'd be using her career to rescue people from the sexual slave trade. She's now created Daughters, a Cambodian employment program for girls who want to leave the sex trade.
Without alternative income, they have no other choice because their families demand the income. And that's why they're in the brothel. They don't want to be in the brothel. They don't choose to be in the brothel, but their families have put them there, and their families take the money, and the girl will stay there because it's a cultural expectation that children support parents. So, but they don't want to be there, and so given the opportunity, they leave.
The opportunity here is about learning skills in cake making, needlework, and creating hip t-shirts and bags. Ruth searches for North American markets to purchase the products so these girls stay employed. Work from International Justice Mission that caught the attention of this lawyer.
Having come over here now and working with IJM and seeing it up close, I realized that I was really ignorant and I was blinded to what's really going on and the massive and urgent need for people to get involved and do something about this, and to not say, well, this is somebody else's problem because it's happening halfway around the world from where I live and work. Because the impacts of the commercial sex industry don't just stay within, you know, a nice, neat borders, the borders of Cambodia or Thailand or Myanmar or Malaysia or wherever it would be. These are issues that cross borders and result in transnational and global problems.
This teacher at one of the 5 New Hope schools for vulnerable children understands his warning.
When I was a child, my family very poor and they have a lot of debt. And I think without Jesus, knowing Jesus, I will be in the same dangers like the other children.
But it was the church that reached this family in crisis.
When my parents became a Christian, they learned the Bible. And they learn that they have to love the children and love everybody. And they know it's a sin to sell the children. So that's why they don't sell me.
Now from her classroom at New Hope, Yim helps other children. Hers is one of 5 New Hope schools. Yim's classroom floats on a riverbank where poor and stateless families live, not wanted by Cambodia or neighboring Vietnam. She says since putting the children into this class and working with their parents to help them see their potential, she has only lost 3 of the students to the sex trade.
These are literally the kind of precarious steps being taken to reach these children that are at such great risk. I'm in between 2 floating classrooms here run by New Hope. And the strategy is that if you can offer free schooling to children who are stateless, unregistered, that you can begin to show the beauty and the potential of what children were meant to be.
So the work for Cambodia's vulnerable children continues, training pastors to break up brothels, trauma care in secluded shelters, giving jobs and an alternative paycheck to girls who are pressured to provide for their families, legal work to back up this Cambodia assault on sex trafficking. Everyone agrees it's one child at a time, one family at a time.
You've got to get at hearts that are transformed to say, you know what, there's something morally wrong about what I'm doing. Now, it's hard to imagine that from Western cultures, that you wouldn't think that selling your children or using the women and the children in a community to produce income through such a horrible means. You wouldn't think that there would be a morality issue or question there, but this is a community where that's the case. They need to be shown and have the light turned on to see the dignity and the value and just the beauty in every individual from child to adult.
And while these children pray for a beautiful life and loving family, I get ready to head home. My missionary tour guide, Kim, will stay and work on the root of the problem.
I need at first people pray for us in here. For the protection of the girls. And also more people come here to to share the gospel. Because only with the gospel can change people's heart. Nothing can change the parent heart. Only when they know Christ, they know it's a sin to sell their children.